Okay, we're gonna welcome another session of direct marketing. What I like to do is to start with a trivia question today. Okay, so you can unmute and how much do you think in 2017 Super Bowl for 30-second ad spot, how much do you think a company has to pay Fox for the 30-second? Any guesses?
4 million.
It must have gotten to 5 million by now.
Oh yeah, Matt. Yeah, you got the trivial game of the day. So you got a gold star for your answer. It is. They were talking about 5.5 million. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's incredible. So that's part of marketing. Right?
Isn't that sad?
So the reason why people are willing to pay $5 million to put an ad on the Super Bowl is because this year they estimated that 114 million viewers and to see the Super Bowl. And according to one of the market research firm, close to 18% of that 114 million people said that ads are the most important part of the Super Bowl event. I mean, people actually went ahead and watched Super Bowl, and they rated that part of the big reason is that they are going to see the ad. So there is a reason why people would pay $5 million to get an ad on the Super Bowl. So what you're really marketing is all about, with the big companies, with your business and so on and so forth, is really to have the metrics to really measure if your marketing, your communication to your customer, does it worth your while, whether if it's time or money to do so. So this class is more talking about the process of doing it rather than talking about, hey, how to use a website or a radio ad to get the most attraction and so forth. We are really looking at the marketing management and also some of the tools you can use to communicate the benefit of your product itself. So let's step back a little bit, from previous lectures. So, what I'm presenting here is what we call the profit triangle. In order, everybody's in business is because you want to make money. Even a nonprofit corporation, they do also need to cover their costs also. So the profit triangle is it's a three-legged stool, and for the past two lectures, we're really dealing with what we call in the lower right-hand corner is the internal operations. What do we mean by internal operations? The internal operations is really looking at the process of producing your product and shipping your product out to the customer. The physical aspects of producing your salmon fillet, your smoke, whether you do custom processing, and also the cost that associated with it. The time that you put in generating an invoice, the time that you do research in marketing or even putting your business plan, everything you do to get your business up and running. And also complying to regulations also. So these are the internal operations, and hopefully you are starting to look at what kind of product, based on your constraints, meaning that based on some of the things that your physical location, your logistics constraints, and so on, to come up with a product form that you think that the market will buy from you. So you start to look at that in the form of a break-even analysis, maybe a SWOT analysis, and also maybe a business plan. And other than that, then the other leg of the stool, you have to have competitive advantage. Why would a customer buy from you rather than me, Quentin Fong? Okay. So you have to have something that is better than me or better than Ocean Beauty or Trident in order for you to get into the marketplace itself. It can be price, but also, we will talk about pricing in a little bit for a small operations or even medium-sized operation, or maybe even Trident and Ocean Beauty, using price as a competitive advantage. It's really not recommended. We will spend the longest time in marketing today is really think through pricing itself. The other parts, it's you can spend a lot of money in deciding ads, spend a lot of time getting your Facebook, but if you don't price correctly, you price too high, you won't have enough customer to buy your product. If you price too low, yes, there's a lot more customers, but there may still room to generate the profit. And we will talk about it. We will spend a lot of time talking about pricing today. But your competitive advantage, if you do proper market research, may be a service. A brand, it's just a logo. Brand it's a name. Brand can be a story. But everybody is writing a story. Everybody's branding right now. But physically, your product, you have to have a competitive advantage. One of the direct marketing operation that is successful, in my opinion, it's a direct marketing operation, is Copper River Seafoods. I think most of you have heard about Copper River Seafoods. Started by 3 fishermen from Cordova. What is a competitive advantage? Why do they come up so, fast and come into the marketplace and took a lot of the smaller markets, from Trident and Ocean Beauty? It is really because that they have a physical operation in Anchorage, and they were able to get fish from all over the state. Not only they started out from Cordova and do their processing there and utilize one of the largest FedEx operation in the world, which is Anchorage, to ship out smaller parcels to smaller markets. Word in the street says that they have a competitive advantage not only in going into smaller markets because of the volume is so high that goes through FedEx, that FedEx is willing to give them a substantial shipping discount so that, to reward them for the volume that it's going through Anchorage. So there is a competitive advantage, through their market research, through their product development and distribution development. They have developed a market or a niche for themselves that, outcompete in certain markets that of the really big companies such as Trident and Ocean Beauty and other big companies. I hear a lot of background noise. If you can mute for now, Yeah, I really appreciate. Okay, thanks. Now, even if you have competitive advantage, but if nobody knows about it, then your product will not be sold. So a lot of the work that you really talk about is what we call benefit creation, meaning that you have to communicate your what you do best to your customer or potential customer, so that they know about your product, so that they will buy from you. So these are the three components that you need in order to generate profit. Without any one of them, it's very hard for you to survive in the marketplace today. There's hardly any commodities anymore. Everything, you have to have a competitive advantage, and you have to have that story to back you up. That story, it's not just about, I am a commercial fisherman from Alaska. Yes, people may listen to you, but if you go to the web and Google Alaska salmon, you will see a whole slew of direct marketers or small operation or companies that wants to sell, that through the web, sell products to you or me or the consumer in the lower 48. So what is marketing? To a lot of people, marketing thought that, this is advertising, but marketing is the whole business seen from the point of view from the final result. It's really from the customer point of view. Business success is not determined by the producer, by the customer. Peter Drucker, this is a famous quote by Peter Drucker, an Austrian business writer. This was actually written in the 1950s. But this is really looked at as one of the mantra for marketing. So we all need to, even from the university point of view, we need to step out from being objective. Is that, yes, we produce the best product in the world. Yes, I handle my fish or I do my work very diligently. But once in a while, or even constantly, you got to step out from your own business and look at your business in a very objective manner, from a customer manner, from a customer's point of view. This, from the customer point of view, is really derived, or you get that information by doing market research in a systematic fashion, in a step-by-step looking at it fashion. So the next slide, for those that are calling in, we are in a, after Peter Drucker, we have a slide of the core physical product. So today, from a consumer point of view, for you, that is mainly most of the direct marketer wants to sell directly to the consumer, whether by web-based or like Paula, by word of mouth and so on. To become, like Terry says, to become the processors, become the distributor, and sell it in farmers market and sell it directly to the consumer. The consumer nowadays are very highly sophisticated because of, the internet, make people, it's easy for ordering from a supplier point of view. It's easy to put on a web or put it on Facebook. And for the customer, there are also a lot of choices now from different products and a lot of information. So a customer buys from you or other businesses, or go to a restaurant if you're selling to a restaurant. It's not really only just a physical core product itself. Tasting good, 4 ounce or 6 ounces pin bone out skinless fillet. You know, that's part of the equation. You know, whether the customer is going to buy from. Convenience, you know, some of the things is that convenience is you know, easy to cook. You know, some of the packaging, very attractive packaging. The brand itself, you know, Alaska Seafood, the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute has definitely put a lot of effort in promoting the Alaska brand itself. And also, if they go to a restaurant, is really an experience from the restaurant, from the staff, the waiter, to the food itself, the design of the menu, the decor of the restaurant, the patrons that go in there. Those are the kind of things that that would help your to sell your product also. The other thing that, although that people want an experience, one of the things that we're going to talk about is price. Survey after survey, whether if it's seafood or food, you know, when it comes down to consumer, you know, ranking in terms of the attributes, that is very important. The top 3 or 4 attributes or features is price. Price is always, it's a cost to the consumer. It's a cost to the restaurant buyer. You cannot you know, ignore that, you know, that feature as your part of your product itself. So, you know, when you look at marketing, you're really looking at a process of developing a marketing program. You know, so some of the steps that is developing your marketing program, one is market research, analyzing marketing opportunities. Are there any people that are buying your product? Given the cost, you know, the break-even price, or even sometimes break-even volume, if you set a price that you have, is there demand? Is there enough volume for the price that you charge in order for you to make a profit? So you got to go out there and really find out what the market is doing, who may buy your product or who is buying your product. And if somebody's buying your product, is there any way that you can improve the services that you do and maybe later on ask for a higher price? Or should I go to another market segment because the high-end folks in Minneapolis, the market is saturated, and I still have, you know, 2,000 or 3,000 pounds that I may want to process instead of selling to the processors so that I can make more money. Should I go to another city to do that? These are some of the things that you may want to think about. The other part then, after you do your market research, is really developing marketing strategies. We will give you, in about 15, 20 minutes, we will talk about some of the tools that you can use to develop these marketing strategies, you know, such as channel of distribution. You know, I mean, if I want to sell to a wholesaler, what type of wholesaler do I want to focus on? Where do I find them? Okay. And also that, well, you know, also that should I, you know, do a Facebook? Should I do a radio ad for a particular market? Should I focus on a farmer's market in New Mexico because I have relatives down there and I can stay with them for free? Or should I contract out my marketing operation to a broker or sell it to a trader? Because these are some of the things that you may want to think about, but it all comes back to one thing, is it going to make you money? Then the next step you're going to think about is planning your marketing programs. You have only so much time in a day, especially, you may want to, like I said, if you calculate your costs and so on, you may want to go to a farmer's market. So if I go to a farmer's market, what kind of signage would I be putting on? Should I scout out the farmer's market itself and look at the flow of the traffic in the farmer's market? Because if, for example, I'm just saying this, if the most of the flow is counterclockwise in the farmer's market, and there are already 4 or 5 seafood retail operation in in the main entrance area where everybody comes in, you may want to not go to that farmer's and observe that people already buying a lot of seafood from that location before they walk to your booth, your booth that you're thinking about. You may want to think about putting your booth somewhere else. So you need to really think about the location and also the traffic flow and observe those kind of things and what kind of signage that you're going to put on so that you draw people to your booth rather to other booths. And finally, you got to think about managing the marketing effort. What do you mean by managing it? It is a 24/7 operation. When you get into marketing, when you start a blog, for your company, when you start a website, you really need to think about constantly updating it. Or if you are working with a wholesaler, and if there is a wholesaler has a question on a Sunday afternoon, because they are going to move their product out first thing Monday morning, you got to answer the phone. You can't say that, well, I'm sorry, I don't have time for you, especially if you're dealing with, some of the foreign markets, with a different culture. If you're working with a Chinese broker or importer, they expect you to respond right away to do that kind of thing. So it's really, once you get into it, you got to do it 24/7. You got to be very proactive with your communication. So market research. Next slide. It's really the most important phase of any marketing. It doesn't, although that I sent you all these references, all these focus group and some of the more quantitative marketing surveys and so on. It's really most of us, most of the businesses I know, I would say all small businesses, usually don't get too formal that way. But I just want to give it to you, as a reference that there are different methods out there. When you get bigger, or I know small firms that hire consultants to do focus groups, and we certainly, by request, have helped small direct marketers do market surveys and guide them to do surveys. These are more mature direct marketers say after 5 to 10 years, they say, okay, we really would like to do a survey with our customers to see what we are missing, because we do want to expand ourselves. But most of the folks, even when I was in business, I never really did any formal surveys. It's really by going out there, visit, look, and talk to a lot of people and categorize what you find out and make a decision in terms of what avenue you want to go to. The most important thing is listen to what the market is telling you. Rather than saying that my product is the best, of course, that's a selling point, but you gotta listen to people to say why they are not interested in your product for two reasons. Maybe you're not doing a service for that product, or maybe that's a market that, by constraint, you cannot supply it that way. I know a guy from Taiwan that wanted to supply the Japanese market in a surimi product. He really wants to get into in a lot of the surimi product, meaning the imitation crab in the US is very inexpensive and kind of cheap type of product. But in Japan, it can get very high value. They do a lot of high value adding. They fry it, they put it into different shape and different spices and so on. And this Taiwanese exporter thought that, hey, I really want to do an imitated abalone product and get a high price to get it into the Japanese market. So the Japanese come back and look at his sample, and apparently the tolerance in terms of variability, in terms of the weight for each slice of abalone is so stringent that the Taiwanese exporter finally said, okay, I'm not going to supply this market just because it's just too much headache. I have to invest too much money for quality assurance and quality control. It's really not worth my time. Okay. So, this is really the some of the things is that you've got to think about and listen to what the market is telling you. Some of the market research questions, what does the market want? For a new person, I was a seafood trader for about 10 years. So when I first went in, I said, well, where is the market? I had no conception in terms of what species that I want to go into and stuff, and just really looking at what are the supply and demand of some of the things that is out there. The other thing is that what needs are not being fulfilled. Meaning that, okay, when you go talk to a chef or talk to a wholesaler, the market is very competitive. A lot of wholesalers and retailers, they already have a market for salmon, but sometimes they just said, hey, I cannot get a vendor or a supplier that can get my salmon every Thursday before 10 o'clock. I'm busy, and the only time I have is every Thursday so that I can get my inventory. So there is something that you may want. That's where you do your market research. That's where it comes in. Is there a market demand for what we want to produce? Is there enough volume? Demand is like, yes, we want your product, but we only want 20 pounds a month. So do you want to go into that market? And if you talk to the chef or that market, is it going to grow? They said, okay, I'm going to try 20 pounds a month with this person. But, to package, a small volume, again, takes a lot of time. Some of the direct marketers eventually sells to wholesaler is because when we did the analysis with them, as some of these clients we did analysis with, is that let's look at the time that you package these products and sell it very small volume to all your customers, and how much is it really costing? So these are the things that you think about, and eventually these folks says, well, it's really not worth our time. Yes, we have 122 customers, but I mean, by packaging each one of them and taking it to the airport to ship it out is really costing us a lot of money. And then since it's all going to the same market, the same city, the same area, they eventually went ahead and sold it to a wholesaler so that they have the time to expand to other markets. So think about that. Everything is about a trade-off. Okay? So who buys our product? Who makes those decisions? So, one of the things that we found out, by working with, a lot of the, especially on the retail, especially on the restaurant level, on the restaurant chains, is that the best, who makes those decisions are buying. A lot of times in restaurant or hotel chains, it's a combination of the chef and the financial departments. Our recommendation is not to talk to the finance guys, because all they think about is price. How much is it going to cost us? Because we need to generate a profit. Go to the chefs. A lot of folks work with the chefs directly. Work with the not just the sous chef, but go directly to the executive chefs. The reason why you go there is that a lot of executive chefs, and they look at them as artists themselves, as culinary arts, right? That's why they call it culinary arts. And they look at themselves as artists, and they always look at quality of the product. And if they like your product, what they are going to do is that, hey, I want to buy from, so and so, and put it on my menu because I really like their products. And then if you see Food Network, a lot of chefs goes out and shop in the morning. And then the finance people are going to come in and says, oh, no. It's costing us too much money. Our profit margin is going to go down. So what the chef is going to do is to negotiate with the finance department, say that, okay, I know that it's expensive. This product, this salmon from Alaska is expensive, but I want to feature it because, one, we can brand it. And secondly, I'm willing to substitute other items on the menu to make it less expensive so that you can keep your profit margin. So who are the gatekeepers in the operation, and who are the decision makers? So you need to go to the decision makers in order to maximize the value of your product, your pitch, your story, your competitive advantage. Where do they go and when do they buy? Just to give you an example, if you want one day, if you export to China, winter time is the best time to sell because they have four festivals that they are looking at. One is a winter solstice, December 22nd. The Chinese, I'm Chinese, so we all get together to celebrate. Now that, China is getting westernized, Christmas, they have a celebration. Okay. And then Western New Year, they have a celebration. And the most important thing is Chinese New Year. Everybody takes off for a week in China, spend a lot of money on gifts and so on and so forth. And that's when, a lot of the exporting from the United States to China it's being conducted is really in November, because that's the highest volume. People are more willing to pay the prices during that season. What is the current pricing? You cannot overprice your product. If somebody is selling $12.99 or $14.99 for a skinless, boneless salmon fillet, if you're charging $20.99, you better have a very good reason why you're charging that price. Paula talked a little bit about that last time, how she came up with the price for her product. So there is also always a price, what we call a price ceiling, that you can charge without losing your market share. What are other producers doing that make them successful? You always learn from other people, not that you want to copy them, but you always think about, there are always lessons to be learned. I personally, although that I'm a seafood marketing specialist, I go to marketing seminars all the time, talk to other people in the field, so that I can do my job better in terms of research and education and working with our clients and so on. So let's look at some of the items. Let's get down in the meat of things, and let's look at the customer, because marketing is about looking at your business from a customer point of view. All customers, even you as a customer or I as a customer, look at a product and, although not explicitly, but instinctively look at the benefit and costs, right? What does it give me and how much is it going to cost me? When you buy a boat, a seine boat, you do the same thing, especially high ticket item. When you buy a truck for your operation, what kind of deal am I going to get? What am I getting out of it? So there are two components: the benefit, total customer benefit, and then the cost side of things. So from a food point of view, one, of course, is product benefit. Right? Product benefit is different from maybe different people or different cultures. Terry last time talked a little bit about that. Right? So for a Westerner, a product benefit of a rockfish or a salmon or a halibut, it's typically pin bone out, skinless, portioned now mostly, so that they can cook it very easily. Now, if you sell it again, I look at the Asian. When I was hired as a seafood market specialist, part of the reason I was hired because of my familiarity with the Chinese or China or Asian market is to help smaller producers, mainly the processors, to penetrate the Asian market. From an Asian point of view, one of our clients that worked with us about 10 years ago wanted to sell cod to the Asian market in Anchorage. So he gave me a call and said, look, when I went into the Asian markets, the retail markets or the restaurants, they look at me. I took the fish in, they look at me and it's like, gave me the cold shoulder and gave me these, unfriendly stares, and I couldn't get anywhere. So I asked him, I said, well, what kind of fish did you bring in? I said, well, I made it easy for them. I headed it, gutted it, cut the tail off so that they can go and do whatever they want. They want to fillet it or they steak them and things like that. I said, no. You don't understand. If you look at it, what they really want, is a fish with a head and a tail, although it's gill out. Because in Chinese superstition, you 有頭有尾, meaning that there's a head and a tail and everything. That means that also it means that there's a beginning and the end. So if you're selling to a old world Chinese or old world Asian folks, you got to keep the head and the tail. Besides the usually quality indications of having a fresh fish where the eyes are not clouded and so on. So next time he went in and took the cod in, fresh cod in, beautiful fish, by the way. Sent me pictures and and beautiful fish and with the head and the tail on. And then he called me up 2 days later and said, yeah, these guys are all happy. They wanna think about doing business with me. So these are the product benefits that people are looking for. The other two things you're looking at is services and personnel benefit. Services is that are you willing to, based on your market research, are you willing to deliver fish to the door? Paula did. She delivered fish to the door of the buyer. But on the other hand, how much is it costing your business? Are you willing to show people the fish and then fillet it in the retail operation? So then, where is the competitive advantage on this compared to your competitors? The other part is personnel benefit. If you are working with a retail operation in Anchorage, or are you selling to a retail operation in Seattle or Minneapolis or Miami, do they know your fish? Are they schooled your fish? When people ask about Alaska salmon, can they explain, the retail counter folks, can they explain it to your customer what is the superior quality or attributes of your fish so that for them to make a sale rather than selling on price itself? That goes with your salesperson if you hire a salesperson or if you contract out your marketing. We'll talk a little bit more about it. And finally, it's image, image benefit, brand. Okay? A lot of people say, we want Alaska king crab. Thanks to the deadliest catch, you really have built, and also asked me, but more on the deadliest catch. And, when I visit Oklahoma, my wife's hometown, when I talk to people, I'm from Alaska, everybody's like, oh, excited. Oh, you're from Alaska. Oh, do you see deadliest catch? And I really want king crab, and so on and so forth. And when I visited a restaurant chain in California, everything that they really advertise is local seafood. Then I saw an item on the menu and says Alaska king crab. And then I went in and got to talk to the owner, and I was giving, just in jest. I don't want to, really piss him off. And I just said, hey, you built yourself as a local, serving local seafood and everything like that. And why do you have Alaska king crab there? So, well, it's a brand thing because all my customer that comes in, they say, okay, it's great to have local seafoods, but we also want Alaska king crab. That's the image of Alaska, of it being tied to the king crab. That has the competitive advantage to penetrate even a local seafood restaurant. So these are the things you need to think about when you do your market research. The other thing, let's talk about cost a little bit. One, of course, is monetary cost. The price that you're going to charge is really a cost to the operation, to people's operation. And also a cost to the consumer also. The other thing that you also really think about is time costs and energy costs. Time meaning that, you know, how much and what kind of effort does a consumer needs to take, not just in terms of ordering, but also preparation of your seafood product. Statistics has shown that an average, you know, meal preparation for dinner in an average American family is under 35 minutes. So if you sell your customer fish, they are on average, of course, on average, they need to prepare that fish with side dishes, you know, in an ordinary night and feed their family within 35 minutes time frame. So a lot of recipes being developed that you develop, or maybe, you know, as we maybe develop, you really need to think about the preparation time and also the energy of people pulling out pin bones and trying to skin the fish, and in terms of your customer segment. Of course, if you sell it to the Chinese, you sell it to me, you know, I'm going to have the whole fish, and at the end of the meal, me and my family, maybe except my wife, the head will be gone. The only thing that's left on the plate is the frame itself. Okay? So you really got to think about those kind of things when you do a market research. And finally, a psychic cost. You know, what do I mean by psychic cost? Psychic cost is really not about, you know, the new age kind of thing. There is a true measurable psychic cost in the marketing literature. It's something like, I really love to cook, and you know, this is a true story. I really love to cook. I'm a foodie. That's why I'm very excited to be in the food business and so on. And one time I wanted to try a new product from a supermarket. I'm not going to tell you what. It's a marinated pork loin that I want to try with my friends. So I'm proudly brought it out to the barbecue, cook it in slow cooking, you know, put a little bit of smoke in there, and serve it to my friends. Silence. Ooh, you know, what's going on here? Okay. So I finally did my market research and says, hey, you know, what's going on? And there were no seconds. You know, nobody wanted seconds. So it was too salty. The way that they marinated, to my friends, it was just too salty to have even a second helping. Am I going to buy that product again? I was so embarrassed because I'm so proud of my cooking. So this is a psychic cost that I incur by being embarrassed, that I will not go back and buy the same product again. Okay? There is so many products out there in a supermarket, maybe not in your community, but in a lower 48 Whole Foods supermarket, there are more than 40,000, you know, units, you know, of merchandise in that store for you to choose. There are so many competitors out there. So you really cannot screw up with your product, or else people are not going to come back to you. So think about those kind of things. And let's talk about customer. We will have a little bit of time for questioning in about 10, 15 minutes. So what is customer research? Some of the basics on customer research. Okay. It's really finding out customer preferences. You got to be organized you got to be organized and think about what you're going to ask them consistent. Okay. So what you want to do is that, think about a customer when you talk to them, when you walk into a retail store, or if you cold call, which most of the time you have to, with a retailer or restaurant chef. Just think about they have between 10 to 20 minutes of their valuable time for you for you to get the information you need and produce a product for them. So you got to really think through, the questions you get. Okay. The other part is that some of the principles you got to think about is you have to have a clear goal what you want to find out. I don't know what level you are on. And then you also have a large enough samples of respondents, large enough sample. If you just talk to one or two people and say, yeah, I'll pay $18.99 for your coho, for your silver, fillet silvers. But the average, if you talk to 100 people, which is the average comes out to be $14.99, and then you go ahead and charge $18.99, you won't have a viable business. Okay. So I hear some background with dog barking. So if you can mute, if possible, thanks. Okay. And then also select people representative of your potential customers. You can try it with your friends and family and think that you have a great product. And we are biased here in Alaska. We are biased towards Alaska seafood. And we do have a better quality seafood because we go subsistence fishing and then we get it right out from the water. Okay. But in the lower 48, if you're selling it to the lower 48, there are a lot more choices for other folks. And as you freeze the fish, there may be a difference in terms of perception also. Okay. And find out information which you can act. And that's why we ask you to do a business plan, to think about, hey, what are your positive and negative in terms of your SWOT analysis? What kind of product to realistically can you produce? Some of you may say, hey, maybe frozen at sea headed and gutted fish. That's the only thing that I would produce, because of where I'm located. It's just too expensive and there's no custom processor. So you really need to just focus on the market research questions that is appropriate to a frozen, headed, and gutted fish. Okay. Some of the examples for reasons for doing market research, what factors matters to a customer most when he is choosing a product? Is it packaging? Is it because of delivery? What products are missing in our offering? Meaning that this is for somebody that already selling, and we're looking at assortments, and we'll talk a little bit more about assortment later on. What products we are offering that are not popular or inferior? You really need to go out there and look at your spreadsheets and look at the amount of sales. To maybe if you have 5 or 6 products, to get rid of your product. How happy is customer with your service? A lot of times, if you have to stay in a hotel, there is on your bedside or on your business desk, there is a rating, a little card to talk about, are you happy with our service? Or when you fly Alaska Airlines, sometimes you get an email from them and saying that, well, are you satisfied with your flight? They are tracking you. They are trying to see how they can improve. Are you happy or not happy? And because the way that you book Alaska Airlines, They know exactly your ethnicity, your age, where you're living. So what they do is that they categorize it and say, okay, some of people that are close to their 60 years old, Asian male, lives in Kodiak, Alaska. They like this, but they don't like that. Okay, so they can adjust the service to make you happy, or is it, well, there's only 5 people complaining, so it's really costing us too much to widen the seat or make more leg room or something like that. Would retail stores be interesting in carrying our product? So that's why you got to do research with retail operations. The next slide is just very quickly talking about customer research framework. You can do informal interviews, which most of us do. I think you really, if you do it right, you don't really need to go beyond just talking to potential customers. You don't have to do formal studies, although that some of the firms does when you have a really large number of customers. Is really go and talk to people and really listen to them and to design your product and your services that is competitive in the marketplace. It's an informal conversation, but with some specific questions. Where do you, if somebody goes into a retail store that you sell to, and you may have them ask, or you go to a farm. If you go to a farmer's market, if you put flyers on people's cars, and you spent like $200 doing that, and plus time, and then people come, you suddenly see a surge in folks coming to your booth, buying products. You may want to ask them, so where did you find out about our product? Did you get our flyer? If only 20% of the people said yes, we got your flyer and that's why we want to come check you out. But 80% of the people says, well, I heard it from a friend that you guys have a really nice product. That means that your flyer, what you do, your marketing program, by spending all that money and time putting up flyers, may not be the best way to do it. Word of mouth may be the word. Your business is done by word of mouth. So these are some of the questions that you always want to think about and ask. Is developing a way or the metrics to find out if what you're doing is worth your time, money, and effort. Focus groups, there is a reference that I sent you, focus groups. It's really using, hiring somebody, or you can do it yourself, is to ask about the opinions of what you have or potentially new products. You give samples to them. One of the good things about focus groups is that people feed on each other's opinion. A lot of people use focus groups in terms of design and brand, especially you go into the deep psychology of emotion, the feeling of a certain product, okay? And a lot of times, like I said, with us, with small businesses, even medium size, and even, you don't do that as much, but it is some of the tools that companies use to do that. Customer surveys, I've shown you some market surveys, and certainly next time, if Alaska Airlines comes up and asks for, your opinion, these are the surveys that they're doing. It can get very sophisticated. Some of the examples I've shown you in references, you don't have to read them. But it's for future references, or just give a glance with it. But one thing though, a lot of these customer surveys and also data, you read all these things about big data and data. Some of the marketing firms really take data very seriously. A friend of mine that graduated with me in University of Rhode Island landed in a job in New York City, a market research firm. His responsibility is oversees all the data, customer related surveys and data for Coca-Cola. He analyzes more than 9 million data points of the customer surveys and also from what we call market scanning surveys. Whenever you go and buy something from Safeway or Fred Meyer's, you scan your Safeway card, and then they know exactly what you buy, and then it all goes into a computer, big data bank, and he is the guy that analyzes everything that has things, overseas for people that to analyze that data, those data that's all related to Coca-Cola. So, there are very different levels in terms of market research and such. But like I said, most people do informal marketing. So I would entertain, I think that I'm flapping my lips for a while now. So I would like to entertain just maybe 2 questions, if there are any, or comments saying that maybe I'm not doing my job. Okay, so just while you think about your questions, let me show you these pictures. This is where I'm located. It's a Kodiak Seafood and Marine Science Center in Kodiak. Although that I'm traveling right now, I'm lecturing from a hotel room in Seattle. What we do, on the right-hand side in this picture, we do taste testing for small companies, but also with research projects. Okay, and also that this is where what we have is called the pilot processing plant, where we do a lot of training. We have the Alaska Seafood Processor Leadership Institute, the Quality Assurance, Quality Control School, folks from Trident, Ocean Beauty, Alaska Pacific Seafoods, and a lot of the community developing quota processing companies send their folks here to Kodiak to do these training also. Row school, row school will be happening. I think Trevor, you may have asked the question last time that you do distance delivery. No, but there were 4 direct marketers in 2016 came from the Bay. I think they're from Dillingham or Naknek, that has their own direct marketing operation with a very small processing facility out there. They came to Kodiak to learn about, to see if there are any opportunities in developing row. Okay. So any questions or comments so far? Okay. So let's go on to the next. So let's talk about tools. We've been spending time talking about the process of marketing, doing market research, and trying to find out what the customer wants. We find out the customers now. And so how are we going to communicate the superiority of our product so that our customers, would buy our product rather than a Norwegian salmon or one of the big things that is coming up is from New Zealand. New Zealand now is farming king salmon, and they call it Ora salmon, O-R-A salmon, that they are penetrating in very high-end sushi and sashimi market. Okay? So what these really smart professors from Stanford, University of Chicago, Harvard, and so on came up with this, what we call the marketing mix, the 4P of four P's of marketing, which, marketing itself, can have a lot of moving parts. So what they did was that they figure out, okay, let's break it down into modules and components and look at it as tools and build it up again into that mix to trying to compete and penetrate the target market that you have decided to go in. Maybe if it's an ethnic Chinese market or a Russian caviar market in New York City or Chicago, or the halibut that really everybody, the Alaskan product in general that everybody really thinks about in Oklahoma City. So the four P's are one, product itself, very quickly. The physical product that we talk about, I think the second or the third slide. Place, meaning that the actual product that is going through the distribution chain up to the shelf or onto the plate of the consumer. The movement of that, in the marketplace. And the right-hand side is a promotion, where a lot of people originally think what marketing is all about. Promotion is about advertising, public relations. It's the communication part, the communication of the benefits of your product so that the customer knows that, hey, you have a superior product than Quentin's. Finally, we will spend a little bit of time, or maybe a little bit more time on pricing itself. Okay. Price is very important. Price have two components. Really, price is a cost to your customer, whether it's a consumer, it's certainly to the restaurants, to the wholesalers and the retailers. But price itself also have a psychological effect that we're going to talk about. One thing though, if you really think about all this, if you look at the four P's, product, place, and promotion cost money. Developing a product, filleting a product, to move that product through the distribution system in terms of logistics. You put it on in the retail store. It all costs you money. And then we just started. Somebody says, hey, it's $5 million to have a 30-second ad in the Super Bowl. Promotion definitely going to cost you money. One thing that doesn't cost you money, it may, if you misplace, it's really price. All you need to do is to set a price, which is the most important in many regards in terms of your marketing. Just very quickly talk about, some of how you differentiate yourself with your competitor. Some of the product attributes. A lot of people, definitely Andrew Wild, one of the medical doctors, more of a holistic, always talk about the benefits of Alaska salmon, okay, because of the chemical composition. The polyunsaturated fatty acid, okay. Nutritional value of seafood. Definitely, it's even if it's fatty, a lot of times it's the good fat rather than the bad fat. The saturated fats like a pork or chicken would give you. Sensory, tastes great. The thing is that if you use it as a product attribute, if you look at how people, all the advertising, it's just saying that it's spicy, but never said the level of spice is gonna have you buy our product rather than the other, or it just said tastes great, because everybody has a different sensory sense, For example, it depends on where you grow up, or you are used to. People from the Midwest, they want fish that doesn't taste like fish. I mean, for us, growing up, we would be having things that is so foul to your taste that we absolutely love it. I mean, a lot of these dried anchovies, dried fish. So the sensory part of things, as a differentiation strategy, usually people uses it. I just want to put it there, but don't overdo it. Just make general comments. Tastes great and so on. Convenience. Of course, everybody expects, depending on your market, convenience not only in the product form itself, convenience in terms of service. A lot of the web-based, I can put a click, Amazon.com. Even in China now, we complain about China having, we reprocess a lot of fish from China, but the fact is that China now is starting to keep a lot of our fish, Alaska's fish, in China rather than re-export it anymore. Some of the people that I used to work with, they were exporters. Now they're doing 100% import. They said that the export market is not really worth their time. The money is importing seafood into the China market. So T-Fresh is a Chinese sort of equivalent to Amazon, but specifically geared towards food items, including seafood. And I think, if I remember correctly in the conversation, Trident Seafoods now actually has items has items on T-Fresh, especially they're pushing king crab, and also I think red salmon and so on into web-based marketing and web-based markets. Form of packaging itself, you can differentiate your product. And also your brand itself. The logo, I have there's a reference, I think, not a reference, a resource that we have in terms of reading that North Carolina University, and talk a little bit about logo and also brand also. We'll come back a little bit with brand. So some of the just honing in on packaging itself, because people do want to look at packaging. One, you really got to think about easy to open, ease of storage, information. You have to have nutritional labeling. We talked about it last session. Like we said, if you do a product, if you are processing a product yourself, we can do a nutritional labeling for you. We have a nutrition labeling machine in Kodiak, and Chris Anito, who is our next lecturer, on Wednesday, to talk about seafood quality and packaging. You will ask him about his services that he does for the processors, and perhaps for you too. Aesthetic, you gotta look at it. You gotta be good looking also. Just to give you an example in terms of packaging, I go back to Hong Kong every year, and just because my parents, they are 87, 86 years old. Actually, I'm in a hotel room right now, and me and my wife are leaving for Hong Kong day after tomorrow to see our folks. And I also, like I said, being a foodie myself, I always look at markets. This year I'll be looking at Pollock Row market because we have a little project with the at-sea processors on perhaps developing alternative product for the China and China market. A few years back, about 8 years ago, a company in Alaska has been doing quite a bit of salmon jerky for the local market. And they started to get inquiries from Hong Kong and China with regards to salmon jerky that wanted to be produced in the United States with Made in America logo because it's perceived, U.S. products, U.S. food products is always perceived as a high quality, and people are willing to pay a little bit more for the product in the Hong Kong, especially in the Hong Kong market. So I took some samples over and did some focus group with them, with prospective buyers rather than consumers themselves, because it's a brand new product. A lot of consumers are not familiar with salmon jerky. So the focus group or executive interview are with importers and wholesalers. And they really like the product itself, but the problem that it was packaging. One, the product size or the weight itself a little bit too high, because apparently for jerky, I didn't know that. You always learn something new by talking to people. It's kind of exciting, is that the jerky market is not for the adults. It's primarily a kid market from 6 to 14, 15-year-old market. So when they tried to open up the package from this company, it's done so tightly that a child of 6 or 7-year-old cannot open it because it's just too tough to open it. Secondly, the size of the, I forgot the size, it's so long ago. We have to reduce the size or the weight of the product in half, because apparently Asians don't eat as large of a portion, except myself, than a lot of Westerners in terms of plates and so on. The third thing is that the label that was on the packaging was not printed within the package, but actually a label that is taped or glued onto the package itself. And what the focus group told us was that perceived, the people in Hong Kong, when they look at that product, it's perceived as fake, meaning that, hey, you can produce it in China, it just put a label on it and call it Made in America. The label itself has to be printed within the packaging itself in order for the customers or potential customers to feel authentic. So I took that information, came back, went back to Alaska, chat with these guys. There is really a potential market. The prices being paid was good, but the company decided not to go ahead with that product because they have to retool their operation, meaning that they have to find the cost and time to retool their product, and for a new packaging, it's really not worth the risk or the time that they're going to do it. So they did not go ahead and to work with the China market any further. So it really depends on you. You get, that's part of the market research, using that information and to decide whether you want to, or is it worth a while to get into the market or not. Okay. So maybe 2 questions or comments. Okay. Just here is a picture of a, talk about cultural differences of a Chinese eating dinner. And like in the United States, folks share food. So a fish that is being served on the table. It's headed, they're not headed, with a head and tail, usually steamed or fried. And it's, with a table of 12 people, usually 4 or 5 pounds, or 3 to 4 pounds, so that everybody can share. Everybody would get their favorite part. For example, my sister-in-law would automatically get the head because she likes the head, and my mom would really like the belly of the fish. Okay? So on with chicken and duck, and usually in a family dinner out in the restaurant, usually there is always a poultry, a pork or beef dish, mainly pork, 2 seafood dishes, 1 shellfish, 1 fin fish, and then rice and noodles, and then the end. So, but it's all shared. You can see the lazy Susan in the middle. So different, folks, different culture consume, seafood in very different ways. So when you do your market research in terms of size, we all need to pay attention to that. Okay. So the next tool that you may want to look at is really place. Really looking at the physical. How do you place your product in the distribution chain? Okay. So, just to recap, Terry has given you a little bit of description of the food marketing system, but it's graphically, the food marketing system. Direct marketers on the left-hand side, of the chain. These are growers and harvesters. I put the grower in because they are folks that are growing, growing oysters, and also growing. There's movement towards growing seaweed also in the state of Alaska. Some geoduck, some mussels out of Homer also. On the right-hand side, on the right-hand side is the consumer, the final. In between, this is what you are going to, you have or take up the responsibility. It's being the processor, the primary processor. If you just headed and gutted fish and even fillet fish. Then if you want to smoke the fish, you are further processor and manufacturer. And you are going to do the distribution as a wholesaler and maybe the retailer also. Okay. So you are not replacing the processor or the smoker or the wholesaler. You are what we call forward integrating into the food marketing system to become one of them. Okay. This is the responsibility that you will incur when you do that. So, but this system itself, I'm not going to go that much into it. This orange arrow bar, it's a biological system. Meaning that besides, as a harvester, you got to look at sustainability for your business if the fish is going to come back. But you're also looking at trying to preserve the quality, because as soon as that fish is out of the water, it's going to start deteriorating. Bacteria, the enzymes start working, and you got to move that fish as quickly as possible with a pristine quality, or the quality that your customer wants, to the table itself. And with quality, Chris is going to talk about it, some of the steps, how you can handle fish, and I will leave it at that. Okay? So this food marketing system is a very sophisticated system, and you got to think about for each step as a processors, there's a set of regulations. You may, if you want to have a processing plant, you have to have the license, and you have to take the hazardous analysis critical control point HACCP certification and other things, to in order to get your product to the plate of the consumer itself. So just to recap in terms of distribution, why direct marketing? Why do you want to do direct marketing? At the end of the day, besides getting a higher price, you have the option where to sell your product, how to sell your product, and what to charge. And you can potentially, or you're going to brand your own product too. Okay? The other part is that you have total commitment, because the fish gets away from your boat, the fish sold to the retailer, they may not take care of your fish. You can control the quality of your product as far as the consumer itself. So these are some of the advantages that you can get. You feel good, you have total control, potentially you'll make more money, get a better return. And also, but why use indirect channels? Why are the processors selling it to a wholesaler on the flip side of things? Why are fishermen selling to the processor? Some of the fishermen, we talk to them and say, well, I have no interest in doing direct marketing at all. Affordability. As you further forward integrate yourself into the system, it's going to cost you money. Even if you do direct, if you have custom processing, you have to pay the custom processor money, right? So extra money. What about wholesaling? What about distribution? Affordability also means time. Time is money. I don't know if you put a dollar sign to the time. Some of the direct marketers that we work with are small food producers. They don't keep track of time. Okay? They don't figure time. They don't give them a salary or something. But at the end of the day, for me as an economist, maybe I'm too anal on that. Put a dollar sign into the hour you spent just to see maybe you there's a quality of life. There's a quality of life. There's a family, like Paul says, family get involved. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and you can look at it. Is it really worth my time? Even though if you're not charging yourself an hourly wage. Save money by not doing own distribution. If you have own distribution, like Ocean Beauty have a distribution chain, they have to find a location to build cold storage. They have a fleet of trucks to do that. And also risk transfer, meaning that, as a fisherman, you get rid of your fish, hopefully, but most likely you get paid. What happens that if you are in if you have a retail store or even a wholesale operation, you got fish sitting in your retail counter or in a cold storage that is not sold. Okay? It's been sitting there. Okay? It's costing you money. And if it's a fresh fish, after 7 days, you got to throw it in the bin if it's not sold. So these are the risks that you got to think about. But I think personally, I think most of you are, you're working and maybe fishing seasonally. So it's a good way to see if it works. Just selling very low volume and slowly build up to see if it works for you. But there's definitely risk out there. by owning product and being stuck with product. Why would a customer buy from a distributor? Convenience of one-stop shopping. Why is Food Services America so big? Food Services of America is a $45 billion company. I mean, if everybody wants to vertically integrate, everybody wants the farmers or food manufacturers want to sell directly to the restaurants or the customers, why would there be a middleman such as Food Services of America? Because of convenience of one-stop shopping. A lot of the chefs, a lot of the restaurants, it's so competitive in the marketplace. Just to back up a little bit, a supermarket like Safeway or Stop and Shop, any of the big supermarket chain, their profit margin is 2%. Meaning that for each dollar I spent in the Kodiak Stop and Shop, their profit margin is 2 cents. It's very competitive. The food market is a very competitive market. A supermarket, a restaurant, their whole focus is customer. They want traffic into their restaurant. They want to drive traffic into their supermarkets. And that's why even the supermarkets have banks in there, have Starbucks coffee in there to drive that traffic through the supermarkets so that people spend money to get that 2% profit margin in the supermarket. They really don't have that much time to really deal with supply. The more convenience, talk about convenience, is that the better the service that a supplier gives them, they have more time to deal with the customer. And that's why Food Services of America is so successful, because these big restaurant chains, and is to show that what they need to do is very easy, is to go into their website, I want this, and then it's going to deliver to my door at a certain date at a certain time. Food Services of America even operates in Kodiak, with a town that is 13,000 people. Every Thursday, it comes in a ferry, I think Thursday. Nate, you correct me, Nate. You see that truck driving around with the, 5 or 6 restaurants that we have, in Kodiak, and I don't think the volume is that big. They made it worthwhile to come and deliver products. I'm not saying that direct marketing has no chance, because there's also a lot of small restaurants finding an edge to be competitive, and that's where direct marketers comes in. They want specialty products. So your market segment is really, again, physically, when you deal with wholesalers or retailers, is really looking at, quote unquote, the specialty food product dealers, the natural food dealers, to really is those type of market segments that you're looking for, and service those segments in order for you to generate a profit. So why would a customer buy from a distributor? Prompt customer service and technical support for being local. If I am a chef and suddenly somebody come to me and saying that, hey, I'm going to pay top dollar and rent out part of your room this coming Saturday. Right now, today is Monday. This Saturday, but I want king salmon on my plate. Can you do something for me? I calculated, hey, I'm going to make Saturday night. Nobody else is booking my banquet room. And it's kind of slow, this time of the year. And I really want to do this. So can I order king salmon right now? Unless, for 200 people banquet, very short notice. And if I call Alaska, can I get that shipment here? Process, I only want pinbone out, skinless fillet. I don't care if it's frozen or not, just because, time is short. And can I find somebody in Kodiak to do that? Kodiak, yeah, but we don't really have king salmon. But then I start calling Sitka and everywhere. What happens out of Sitka? I order it and weather went foul, and then I couldn't get the product out. So that's why there's a reason why, these folks want to do with it, work with some local, so that they make sure that, hey, there's a wholesaler. The wholesaler may get out of his way to find products from Trident, called Ocean Beauty, and get the product out so that the chef or the cook in that restaurant can service the customer. Okay. So some of the differentiation strategies and placement, we talked about channels. Again, the best way we can look at is really direct marketers is really look at more of the specialty food channels. There is I forgot to give it on the resource list, a specialty food, sort of like a consortium. Just type specialty food, and you can join it as a member. They will give you who the distributors, who some of the retailers are. There's also always a specialty food show all around the country. So if you type that into your Google, it would come up. Coverage, where do you really, cover? Is it a high-end, certain age group, certain ethnic group that you wanna sell your fish to? Channels-wise, do you want to do it locations? Do you want to do it nationwide, or hone in on specific location? I know, somebody in Oklahoma City, that is already in the food business. Although that he or she is not selling seafood, but he knows the players down there. I can go down to Oklahoma City and stay with my wife's family for free, at first anyhow. And so I can be there for 2 weeks using my vacation time and work with this contact to talk to everybody to see if there's an opportunity for my fish from Alaska to be in that location, selling to that location. And also inventory, and also with regards to location, it's expensive to store fish in Alaska. There's no cold storage anywhere. Is there a cold storage in Oklahoma City that I can ship my product pallet load into that cold storage? And what are the how much it's going to cost me? Is it 5 cents a day per pound, or 10 cents? Is it going to worth my while? Or can I draw small quantities of my product out of that cold storage? Because some of the what are the terms of the cold storage? Can I just go in there and pick 5 pounds out of the pallet and bring it to a customer? Or the terms of the cold storage is that the minimum amount that you can take out of the cold storage is 500 pounds. These are the things that I need to think about. What about inventory? Should I go ahead and sell all my fish, at one shot, as much as possible? My 2,000 pounds of fish, any customer that comes in, I'm going to sell it. And if I run out before December, Christmas season, the gift season, I am okay with it. Or should I keep some inventory for my loyal customer throughout the year so that when they call, they always have my product? It also think about your cash flow. If I need the cash flow, I owe money from my custom processor. I've got a good relationship. I said, I don't have any money to pay you. I mean, can I owe you $3,000 or $4,000 until I sell some of my product and pay you back? I have an incentive to sell quickly all my products and not hold inventory so that I can pay my custom processor back. Right? And transport. What is the cheapest but most efficient way to get your fish out of there? Unfortunately, in Alaska, we don't have much choice. It's very expensive. And that's why, as a small producer, we have a higher cost of operation, and we have to, by force, we have to go into a higher end market that people are willing to pay a little bit more for that fish that we produce. So any questions with this? I think I need to move a little faster now. I think it's already 7:14. So I'm just going to go on, and hopefully we'll have a little bit of time for questions and so on. But certainly email me, or I'll be out of cell phone range, but I can be texted when I'm in China. I will be back March 15th. And I will call you back. But at the meantime, I will answer emails and texts also. Okay, thanks. Promotion. I'm going to go through this very quickly because I like to spend some time in pricing. Promotion, there's a whole slew of different communication, types of communication you can use: personal selling, sales promotion, advertising, public relations, and publicity. We'll go through that fairly quickly. Why do you advertise? Because if you use ads, you're trying to get somebody's emotion, get somebody's attention, or remind people that you're already buying their product. Is, in their busy lives, they see your ad and say, oh, it's time for me to, I haven't had, Chuck's product for a while. I'm going to go ahead and order some from them. I'm running low anyhow. So what it does is that it builds trust, and to remind you in a very short way, whether just by a logo or with a tagline, to remind you or get you interested in trying your product. And then hopefully it will generate a behavior change, what we call it, and actually buy your product and try your product, have a good experience, and become a repeat customer. So branding, it's really to perceive differently from the rest of the pack. Loyalty. Somebody would really want to just buy Ford trucks all their life, or wear a certain brand, just because, they always have a good experience or good value of that product. never had any problem. The price is right. So if other people have all these ads or even reduce their price, I would go ahead. A customer may look at it, and say, I'm safe by consuming Henry's product or Matt's product. Yeah, it's 3%, 4% less, but I don't want to switch and have a bad experience and have the risk of having a psychic cost that my customers don't like. That's why a lot of times if a customer, whether even a restaurant, is happy with your product, for them to go to another vendor, you have to, they would think very hard to do so unless your customer is only looking at a salmon product or halibut product based on one thing, price. If you are looking at a price shopper as a potential customer, they will tell you, say, well, you got better quality, but your price is no good. Walk away very quickly. Don't spend time with these people and waste your time and energy trying to sell product that is to people that is based on only price. Command the larger margins that is less susceptible to price wars, because people are loyal. Receive greater trade cooperation and support. So if you have a brand or a product line that's already selling, and if you want to introduce a new product, for example, okay, I'm doing salmon now. My friend is having low volume. They have no interest in marketing his halibut himself, and I'm going to help him out or her out. And so I talk to my customer, a retailer, say, hey, look, you're happy with my product. And I like to put a halibut product in to your retail market and expand my product line here. Is it okay? Yeah. I'm already happy with you. Never had any problem with you, Quentin. And I'm going to try out and try your halibut and see if it works with our retail operation. Increase marketing communication effectiveness. People already know your brand, so you don't have to spend that much time and money in buying ads or newspaper or going out. If you do business to business selling, going out, your real reputation is already there. Sometimes if you walk into a new buyer, maybe a restaurant or a wholesaler or a retailer, say, yeah, I've heard about you. I have good things about you, and let's do business. Let's sit down and see what you can do for us. So a brand don't have to be a logo, but you're dealing with customer. I know that sales folks from processing operations, I know this guy, when he left a processor in Point Judith, Rhode Island, and moved to another processor, his entire customers base moved with him to the other processor because the brand is not the processing, the brand is him. People trust him. Trust is a very big thing in seafood and perishable markets. Support brand extensions, again, you want to start putting other products in your assortment, in your products, and it's easier if you have a reputation in carrying. I want to do scallops now. I want to do king crab, although that I'm not catching it as a direct marketer, but you're moving towards more of a full assortment seafood trader or a wholesaler and so on. So some of the things that common themes for Alaska products: wild and pristine, sustainable, The Alaskan tradition, again, the chemical factor or natural, the polyunsaturated fatty acids, it made in the United States do carry, in a lot of markets, do carry a lot of weight to it. The problem that I see, there is a lot more competition in sustainability because Walmart's and a lot of the other big buyers now require sustainable resources, sustainable seafood. And one of the problems that we see in terms of competitive advantage for Alaska is the pollock market. Russia pollock has been certified by the Marine Stewardship Council. And so we Alaskans have lost that edge. And the MSC label have demonstrated that in the European market, it has a price premium. People actually make more money by a certified Marine Stewardship Council product, including that of pollock. Unfortunately, one of the, you talk to a lot of the large processors that deals with pollock, they are really nervous about this development. Same with a lot of aquaculture products now. A lot of the buyers now, well, you got to demonstrate that you have best management practice, sustainability, and a lot of tilapia operations now is starting to be certified also. So the market is always constantly moving, so that's why market research is very, very important. Your edge you think you have today, tomorrow it may be gone. So you have to really think about constantly doing this. Some of the examples of advertising, just Alaska seafood here on the plane. Certainly a lot of you has, even I, has got onto that plane itself. Some of the sales promotion, free samples, it's a big thing. You go to a Costco, you always have free samples. A lot of people would ask for samples, but you be very careful with free samples because it's a cost to you. Just look at it. A lot of the people would come and eat your product just because they're hungry in the farmer's market. And also that especially with wholesalers, retailers, it can eat up a lot of your profit margin. Coupons and rebates, this is also a lot of the companies use it. If you buy any volume, we'll give you a discount. Certainly, in Christmas time, if you have products that are slow moving, you may want to do that. But, as a small business, I would be a little bit careful in giving too much discount for people. And also that if you do discount to people, what it shows that, hey, even if you give discounts, you're still making money. So people expect that. Okay? So don't use it too much. Rather you use other marketing tools. For example, we'll get into pricing and we'll talk a little bit more. I'll talk a lot more about discounting and pricing strategies that way. Low interest financing is something that I mainly for business to business. A lot of this I'm talking is business to business. For example, low interest financing is something that you have a really good customer, a wholesaler or a retailer. Sometimes they're in a jam, and I have done that before. I loan them money so that they keep their operation going. And they pay me back with a very low interest just to keep that trust and showing that I really trust your operation. And at the end of the day, because there's money involved, they are sort of, obligated to buy from me. Okay. But that's more of a business to business and type of thing. Publicity and events, you have to create the story. It has to offer new and something different to the media. And product and editorial photos are key to great exposure. You see it in Fairbanks Minor, Anchorage Daily News, and a lot of people trying to get into Sunset Magazine. I know direct marketer because it gears towards the retirement community. Gourmet Magazine. Those things are a good way to promote your product. To have a food writer to write about your product and so on. And those kind of things. Of course, you have to really think about your market research and what kind of market these food writers are writing to. So publicity and events, right now there's the Symphony of Seafood with the Alaska Fisheries Development Foundation. Look it up in the web. You can, if you are really value adding, this is one avenue to showcase your product. And if you win it, it will give you prestige. You can put it on your ad and communication to tell that, hey, I won the Alaska Symphony of Seafood, and it says something about it. Awesome. Oops. Personal selling. This is really very important with regards to business selling. You got to really be prepared, polished, and know your product very well. You answer questions, how it's being processed. You may, a lot of folks may want to visit your operation, and some of the, you've got to explain your marketing program and basically convince face-to-face your potential buyer why they want to buy your product rather than your competitors. So one of the things that you really need to think about in terms of personnel, whether you're hiring folks or you're working with with the retail counter, is really you want to work with folks that are competent, friendly to people, not gruff, not yell at people. Do you want to buy this product or not? Shows credibility. If you're putting it in Whole Foods, there is a certain credibility that people want to buy from there. Reliability. You're reliable when you promise somebody something. I will deliver this product at a certain date. You will do that, or you have quoted somebody a price and you cannot renege it. In the last minute, oh, wait a second, I didn't say that kind of thing. Responsiveness, if somebody calls you, that's where you come from. A lot of these folks, if they have a problem, like I said, unfortunately, if you become or fortunately, it's up to you, became a marketer, is that, during holiday seasons, you may give calls, you may be spending time with your family, and people are calling you, trying to get hold of you and saying that, hey, do you have more product? Do you have, we are looking at a problem, there may be a quality problem. Believe me, a lot of times when the market is not doing well, when a lot of seafood, retail market is not doing well, when they don't want to pay the price that you quoted, and they will blame it on quality. Hey, I see some problem with you and blah, 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 blah. And they want to renege on their price. And then that will give you a lot of stress in terms of the market. But you got to be responsible. They call you on day before Christmas, and you got to call them back. Communication, if you have a newsletter that you go out every month, don't don't just suddenly, I say, okay, I don't feel like writing a newsletter. I don't feel like doing a blog. You got to keep that up. You got to find ways to communicate to your customer constantly. Okay? They want to hear from you also. Okay? This also happens also, because at the end of the day, if customer comes back, it costs you a lot of time and effort to find new customers, and you really want to keep your customers as long as possible, unless they become very unreasonable. Everything in the seafood industry or the food industry is about trust. Trust is a very, very high, attribute in terms of a perishable product, especially if you do business to business. It's a business to business marketing. If you're dealing with other business, your customer rely on the high quality of your product and the service that you provide them so that they can make money and expand. So here are some of the marketing tools in general. If you're really looking at the consumer market, in terms of communication tools, the consumer market really is the most important. It's really advertising. Your Facebook, your radio spots, being in a farmer's market, with logos, with signs, secondarily sales promotion, then personal selling, and then public relations. But if you are in the business to business market, it's all about personal selling. I mean, the people want to see you, people want to talk to you, because people want to negotiate with you to see what you can do for them in terms of services, to justify the price that you charge for that business. Any questions or comments so far? Okay. All right. So finally, let's talk about pricing. Price to me is the most important part of marketing. Pricing, like I said, is a cost. What you list as a price is a cost to your customer. It's consistently ranked one of the highest component of different attributes. Taste is important. The looks of the product is important. Price. Okay, price is very, very important. Always very important in their figuring out in terms of their attributes itself, because it's coming out of people's wallets. Okay. So let's go back and look at profit itself. Profits is total revenue minus total cost. The total revenue is price times quantity sold, and total cost is fixed cost and variable cost. So price really determines price times quantity, what you charge times how much unit you sell. Really, it's a big component of your profit. Okay. If you price too high, if you start raising your price, there are customers that are going to go away. Okay. But is the price that you raise that would cover the volume that is going to drop? If you raise the price by 10% and only one customer drops out, you may actually be better off for your profit. And vice versa. If you drop your price by 10%, but yet your volume goes up 200%, a very big swing in volume going up, your profit would actually, gets more profit. So it's a really tricky thing to do pricing. Okay? There are a lot of ways to do it, in very formal, in large companies. If you do market surveys and things, is one, you do what they call willingness to pay, is that how much you actually ask potential customer about, if we charge this much, how much volume you're going to buy. Of course, there's always variability and things like that. So when you go negotiate with a business to business in terms of price negotiation, these are some things that you really got to keep in mind when you first put your price to put your price out there. People are going to react and say, well, what are you going to, with that price, what are you going to do for me? Because at the end of the day, in a business to business negotiation, everything is negotiable. Price is negotiable, service is negotiable, and your marketing support, such as posters, such as point of sales, type of pamphlets, those are negotiable also. Okay. So let's very quickly think about a price band itself. For a certain type of product, you have a certain price. If you go onto the web and Google, salmon on the web, you see a price, if I recall correctly, I think, either $16.99 or $14.99. If you really look at everybody's price, there is probably 5 to 10% difference in terms of the price differences. The differences is because a lot of times because of shipping. Shipping itself, give this variability over here. The brand itself, the amount of trust that a customer towards that brand gives a difference. Holding all the quality, there is some quality differences. That's why you see this price band. You see that. Okay. This other slide, it said, well, let's look at quality indexes. Unfortunately, this is the best graph that I found in the literature. That there's no more current things that describes quality and specialty products and the price differences in terms of different product forms or different brands. So what it does is that a lot of these is ice cream. Okay, on the left-hand axis here, it's a quality index. Okay? The quality goes up from the bottom to top, and on the right bottom line is a price. Okay? Price chart for a customer that has to pay. Okay? From left to right is the higher prices that the customer has to pay. And as quality index goes up, on the right-hand axis here, is the commodity, it becomes a specialty ice cream. So if you look at a generic commodity ice cream down here, the price band is very narrow because there's no differentiation in terms of quality, the ice cream product itself. But as the quality goes up and as the ice cream becomes a specialty product, the price band itself is actually going to go wider and wider because there are different ways to differentiate your product. Your price is one thing, and also the brand is one thing, the packaging is one thing. And if you see up there, Haagen-Dazs is really fetched the highest price and within that high quality specialty product. Okay. So you are in the specialty food business. Direct marketers are really in the specialty food business just because your cost of operation is higher. And of course, you want to beat out your competitors. Your competitors, a lot of times, it's not with each other. Your competitors is really with Trident and Ocean Beauty. You want to be better than them. Okay? And there are ways to do it by looking at the market itself and going to the market segment that are willing to pay a higher price. So how do you set price? How do you really think about price? One is to determine demand. Again, how much volume do you think you're going to sell? You got to go out there and ask. If you buy my product, how much do you think you're going to buy? Even with the customer, with a customer that is in the farmer's market. You have to take the risk. You invest some money, put on the booth, and then you talk to the customer, and then he buys or she buys your product and said, can I get your email address? That's when your marketing comes in. That's when your communication comes in. And, like Paula, you can do a market research. So after you try my product, hey, how did you like my product? Would you want to buy more? Okay. And if you want to buy more, how much do you want to buy more? Because I'm preparing for next season and I'm preparing for the next farmer's market. And then price times quantity becomes your revenue. Analyzes your competitors' cost, prices, and offers. Okay. Talk to the customers. Who are you buying from right now? How much are you paying? Or it's very easy in a farmer's market to go around, walk around and see what how your competitors are pricing their product. Yes, there are no other Alaskan salmon sellers in that farmer's market or in that marketplace, but you are competing with protein also. Okay? What are they charging for organic chicken? What are they charging for grass-fed beef? And go to the supermarket and look at their margins. Okay? Get an idea. Okay? Because those are your competitors too. Center of the plate product. Estimate your own cost. That is very, very important. Because if you do business and business negotiation, you don't want to price your product. You get nervous. I get nervous when I did price, negotiations. Don't quote a wrong price that is going to not make you any money. And also think about different scenarios because people are going to wear you down in a business to business setting. They said, well, Quentin, I can't pay this price. And I said, I can't get any lower because I can't make any money. But on the other hand, how about I give you these posters from Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute, which you can get for free because you're a direct marketer, or give you some recipes, and I'll come down to your retail operation to help you explain the first few times, explain your products to your customers, how great it is. As an Alaska fisherman, I can tell about the story, about how I catch the fish, but I can't give you a price any lower. It's a cost for you, but it's going, rather than eroding, negotiating on a price, that you're willing to say a lesser price so that he knows your retailer would know, hey, he give an inch, I'm going to get more from him or her, is to have the cost that is potentially, coming out of your pocket that will expand the volume that the retailer may benefit. And you become his partner or her partner. saying that, hey, I really like it. My sales are going up. Quentin, can you come back again? And I'm not even going to negotiate price with you because you're doing such a good job. Okay? Those are the things you got to think about, because price, once you settle down a price, a lower price, people think that, hey, this guy or this lady is still making money, by charging a lower price. So he must, I'm going to keep on, don't be a price seller. The value is to, on the right-hand corner of the graph, is to use your marketing tools, whether if it's a brand, your ability is to support that price. Don't get eroded, because by giving an inch, raising price later on is very, very hard. Raising price is very hard in business. The only way you can raise price to your customers is to have an explanation that they understand. For example, gas prices or shipping prices is going up in Alaska. You can show them that, hey, look, the price, I paid, so much for shipping. This shipping company now, shipping is going up. These are tangible things that your customer knows, especially business to business. A retailer says, hey, oil prices is going up. I'm paying more for gas myself. Or a customer is paying, hey, the gas pump is going up. They understand that. Okay? So there is a legitimate reason why you can raise price. Other than that, it's very, very hard to raise price. So when you set your price, you better be very, very careful and know your own cost. And with different scenarios, with how you can support that price. So some of the pricing methods, when you first get into the business, you really don't know what prices to charge. And certainly I didn't. Got really scared with that. So some of the things that, when you start, in your business is, one, maybe use a standard markup. For example, if you're a seafood trader or a wholesaler, a seafood trader or a broker, such as myself many years ago, the standard markup for what I buy is 5% to start to the product's cost, and see what happens, and then negotiate from them. The other part that is you can do is what they call target return pricing. I want to make 6 or 7%, in terms of return on investment, perhaps to charge that, of course, with an eye of what your competitors are doing. Sometimes with a 7% rate of return, it may be unrealistic. So you may have to reduce your cost of production to do that. Value pricing is that the firm charges a lower price for a high quality product. I really advise you against to do that, especially for small business. Like I said before, charging a low price, going in and say, well, maybe this guy would buy from me. Yeah, they'll buy from you, but if you're charging a low price that you are not making any money or just break-even price, and then your cost starts swinging, and then there is expectations that Quentin, you're already making money. I mean, you're not forcing, as a small business, you're not forcing your competitors out. Believe me. The reason people are doing it in terms of price wars are because of people with huge market share, and they want to knock like Pepsi down. They want to knock like Coke down. They go into price war. But let's think about this. Martha Stewart, right? Martha Stewart, when she first came into the business. She was having this really elegant, persona, charging. When she started having merchandise, it's really, high end and very expensive. But as time goes on, because of market competition, she started saying that, well, maybe I'll get a larger volume and charge a lower price for a higher quality product, and started selling, her product like in Kmart, right? So where is she now? I mean, unless she has a volume to back her up, she may not be making any money. She is eroding her brand by charging a lower price. Okay. Maybe if she kept on a high price and sold in the Williams-Sonoma, she may be better off with her business. Think about that. Going rate pricing, a firm charges its product based on competitors' prices. It may price a product the same at a slight premium discount to its competitors, and then adjust accordingly. So next time, if you drive to a gas station, just look at the gas station itself. Everybody has the same prices. Okay? So it says a going rate pricing. These are mass merchandises that people use. For example, also if you go to I like to go to supermarkets when I go to a lower 48, especially, when I go home, when I go back to my parents next week, I'll be scouring the retail markets. And when I visit my wife's family, Oklahoma City, I always drive around to look at prices. And pretty much, if you look at a red salmon price from all the supermarket, they charge pretty much the same. It's $12.99, and then the sale prices is $9.99 or $10.99. Okay? So that's what the going rate pricing for a lot of a mass production such as Ocean Beauty or Trident. And because they're selling into those type of markets, they really don't have that much leeway to differentiate their product. So, these are for more of the mass merchandises type of gasoline is really a commodity. Shell and Chevron, how they really make their business, although there are cost differences in operating. That's why a lot of the gas station now is selling Powerball tickets in the lower 48 with all the different chocolates and ice cream, is to draw you in so that you can spend the extra dollar in terms of increasing their profit margin. So finally, that is the most important for any business or smaller business or a niche market specialty business, is perceived value pricing. As you get experience in the marketplace, as you build up your customer, you're starting to get marketing data, as you do market research, then you can start adding in to get the value of, hey, how much is my brand worth? How much is my return if I spend an extra hour in Facebook or my blog or my food blog, or I spend an extra hour with training a retail operation in promoting my product? How am I going to, how much more profit will I get? So this is what we are getting at in terms of marketing. Okay? Is to really look at your product, is people value your product. People hear your story, but also what kind of deal am I going to get? Sorry, I'm running out of time. I don't want to keep you that long. Should I rush it through, or should I continue?
You can continue. I'm just listening. I don't.
Okay, all right. So pricing, some of the pricing tactics is
How long do you figure, Quentin?
another 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So one of the pricing tactics is really list price. You can list the price itself. There's always manufacturing recommended price, and then you charge another price. Discounts in terms of volume. If you're buying so much, volume, you're going to move my inventory for me, so I will give you automatic discount. Payment period. In terms of business to business, the standard payment period is 30 days. So if this operation that you really trust, you may extend the payment period so that to help them out a little bit, so that they have more cash and more time to pay for you. And credit terms is that, hey, you have a credit with me for $1,000, and if you draw more than $1,000 worth of merchandises, you gotta start paying me back. Okay. You can give them a credit, adjust the credit if you trust them. So rather than negotiating on price, you can do these pricing policy for them, or also help them out in other means, although it's a cost to you, but at least it doesn't really erode the price level that you're charging them. Okay. I'm not going to go through these two slides because I'm running out of time. Just want to show you that it's from the reading material, a reference from a Mexican oyster survey that we did. You can ask me questions later. We'll skip 2 slides and going back to the summary on pricing here. Basically, this little graph shows you that, on the bottom is the cost of your product. And then coming up, you see the purple square. It's called product price. So this is how much you're going to make times the volume. Then you become a revenue. But at the end of the day, everybody, whether it's a customer, whether if it's a wholesaler or retailer, is that you tell me a great story, you have a great story, you're telling me all these services and everything, am I getting a deal from you? And that's where the psychological price of the perceived product value and the actual price itself comes to. If people psychologically think that I'm really getting a deal because it brings me prestige, it makes me feel good, and yet I don't mind paying $3 more than I go to the supermarket, I am going to buy from a direct marketer. This is exactly what you want to achieve in terms of your pricing. It's everything about the deal. Okay. 2 more slides. We talk about quality as a marketing strategy. We all talk about what is quality. Okay. Chris next class will talk a lot more about it, and quality must be perceived by customers. If a customer, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. When you said people must perceive that they're getting a deal, would you say that they feel like they're getting a good value? Would also fit there? Like because they may not feel like they're getting a deal if they're paying $3 more than they could get it for at the grocery store, but they feel that the value that they're getting is worth it.
Yeah.
Would that be the same thing?
Yeah, to me, a deal and value to me is the same thing. Most of the people when people look at the deal, meaning that I got a deal because I got a discount, right? But a deal is a transaction. Maybe I should use a value. Yes, you're correct. I'll change to use a value. I'm paying more because I get these non-market benefits. You are correct. My apologies. Okay. So let's go back into quality as a marketing strategy. Quality must be perceived by customers. If you have a price buyer that don't really care too much about, hey, there's some pale meat, salmon, because of a good price, I don't care. You may want to look at another customer. Okay. Quality must be reflected in all company activities, but not only for the product itself. The way that you treat your customer, billing, invoice, response, those are very, very important. Quality requires total employee commitment. All employee has to feel proud because they will take care of your fish. Many, many stories having these summer employees that comes in. It is only a summer job. I just want to be in Alaska, make some money, and go back to lower 48, pay for my college. I don't care what these guys do. If the line boss is not looking at me, I'm just going to mishandle the fish. Who cares? Right? So there's a reason why a lot of the smaller processors, even larger processors, try to stretch out their seasons and trying to retain the key employees so that they can employ them year round. So that these folks really care about their products. Quality requires high quality partners. If you sell your fish to a retailer that abuse your fish, it's not somebody that you want to work with. Sometimes you may have a cousin or a relative to be a ghost buyer, to go into the retail operation to talk to them. Certainly a lot of companies, a lot of supporters actually have ghost buyers, meaning that they hire somebody to look at their own operation, to see the quality and the service that they have to their customers. You can find a ghost buyer to look at your quote unquote partners, whether it's a retailers or a restaurant, to see how they treat your fish and see if they know anything about your fish. Quality can always be improved and does not cost more. Meaning that if you decide to go into processing, you can use your HACCP, certification or your HACCP training with one of the folks to design a QA/QC program that can be, on the first time around, that can give you the highest quality. And a quality drive cannot save a poor product. Meaning that if you have a late run fish, that is soft meat, with watermarks on, you cannot, no matter what you do, you cannot improve the quality. You cannot really charge a higher price with your product. So stick with the stick with products that is the highest quality in terms of the guidelines, the number one fish that you can work with. Even number twos. Number twos can go to a lot of the little bit high number twos can go to a lot of the smoke product category that comes out to be a really superb product also. Okay. So finally, criteria for developing a differentiation strategy. One is really important. The difference delivers a high value benefit to a sufficient number of buyers. You have to have volume. Price time volume equals to your total revenue. Distinctive difference either isn't offered by others or more distinctive way by the company. Everybody's branding Alaska. Sometimes, most importantly, a lot of times it's the service that you offer to your prospective buyer or your existing buyer that keep your competitors away. Okay, you know, the service, little things that you do. Hey, I hear that you know, some of them are market information, or people want to hear about what's coming with regards to the fishery itself, meaning that, hey, you know, there may be lower amount of fish and so on and so forth. It's just the communication, you know, more become a partner rather than just a buying and selling a transaction. Superior, the difference is superior to other ways of obtaining the same benefit. Lower costs, your service, you promise somebody that you will get that product to them at a certain date and time, with a consistent quality is the same thing. You know, a year-round supply. Again, look at your market survey or your market research. Where is the whole HOLE that it's not being fulfilled? Communicable, the difference is communicable, is visible to buyers, okay? Meaning that the buyers, again, from your market research, you know, going back to the example that if people don't really care about the quality of product, they don't care that you have a number one fish, and they are just happy to have a number two. That's really not, don't waste your time, you know, with that market at all. Okay? Difference cannot be copied by competitors. You know, a trust, a lot of times is you. That is, you always deliver. People once have bought fish from you, knowing that you're a reliable person. A lot of folks also are not happy with their current vendors. They're not reliable, but they switch to you and found that you are a trustworthy person. They won't easily go to another competitor, even if the competitor offer price incentives and things like that. Affordable. The buyer can afford to pay the difference. You know, I mean, it's a cost to your, remember, what you're selling is also your price and services to them. They are paying for it in dollars and cents. Finally, the company has to find it profitable to introduce its difference. At the end of the day, you are, or I was here to make money and to take that leap in changing your product form, to take that leap in promising somebody that you will fly their product to their operation with a smaller portion, more frequently. It's going to be worthwhile for you. It's going to continue to make money for you. Okay. And that's all I have. Sorry that I flapping my lips too much and ran out of time. It's 11 past 8. So that's all I have for this evening. I can entertain one or two questions, but because of time, I'm also willing to answer email questions. And what do you guys think?
Well, that was great, Quentin. That was a lot of info in just a short 2.5 hours. So
yeah.
thank you very much.
Well, look through it and think about it. Like I said, this is an appetizer cost, and certainly we all would work with you in the long term as long as you want as long as you want to ask questions, we will continue to work with you. Any other questions or anything?
Thanks for all the info, Quentin.
Okay, thanks, Nate. Okay, we'll next time, Chris will come in. Ask as many questions with Chris with regards. He is worked with Western seafood. Yeah, he was in the business, still in the business for more than 30 years. He worked for a processor for QA, QC, quality assurance, quality control. He owned a business on seafood, smoked seafood, and also processed seafood. And he also used to process seafood for direct marketers, okay? He's a wealth of information. He's a really nice guy, and use the resources that he has with him, okay? That's Chris Anito next time, and thank you so much. And email me, and I will answer your questions. Have a good evening if there are no further questions, okay? Thank you. Bye.